Okay, big news today. The Pokemon Presents trailer just finished about an hour-ish ago, and a lot of stuff came out of it. So, aside from all the mobile game stuff that everybody is basically expecting happens every year, they actually sped through that stuff pretty quickly and got us to the final two pieces of the stream, which were this new game called Pokemon Champions, and then, of course, Legends ZA. Zeta. Still don't know how to say the title. I don't know if we're ever going to learn it. But we have announcement of a new game right now called Pokemon Champions. And what this game basically is it looks like a kind of a remake or a redesign of Pokemon Stadium and Coliseum, where you can just battle people. What it actually is it reminds me of Pokemon Showdown. You don't know what Pokemon Showdown is? It's basically a it's a web game that you can basically simulate Pokemon battles and just battle competitively online with every single Pokemon virtually unlimited and unrestricted, and you can just do whatever you want. And it makes battling very accessible for people that don't have the games to play on console. But now, with this new game called Pokemon Champions, it appears that we might be getting something similar to Pokemon Showdown on the Switch and also iOS and Android, so you can play it on mobile too. This is going to very heavily change the world of competitive because every time a new Pokemon game comes out, the competitive meta shifts to basically accommodate whatever the new Pokemon are for that game or that generation. However, with Pokemon Champions, this new game seems to be independent of the mainline games, which means the same rules won't apply. And it's seen in the trailer that you can use Megas, you can do Terrassalization, I would assume you can do Dynamaxing, also assume you can use Z moves. Basically, every gimmick of every Pokemon game is expected to be in it. And so this is from Wolfie. He's a competitive player. I think he just won a really big tournament a couple days ago. So of course he's excited about this. I am too. It looks really freaking cool. But the big news that everyone is talking about is Pokemon Legends ZA. Here we have the announcement of the starter Pokemon being Chikorita, Tepig, and Totodile. Obviously, no Cyndaquil this time because Cyndaquil was in Legends Arceus. Um, but these are our starter Pokemon now, and it obviously leads to the question of what's going to happen with their final evolutions. The final evolutions of Arceus got new forms, so what about these? Are we going to see a regional variant of Meganium, Emboar, and Feraligatr? Or are we going to see Megas? So Mega Meganium, Mega Emboar, and Mega Feraligatr. That'll be interesting. Um, Me, I'm probably honestly I've grown to like Totodile a lot as a Pokemon, and I've grown to like Feraligatr. But I'm probably still gonna end up picking Emboar or Tepig anyways, just because it's kind of tradition for me. I always pick the fire starter for every new Pokemon game, no matter what it is. I always go fire. So I'll probably still end up picking Tepig anyways, just out of tradition. Um, this point right here is the thing that I'm most excited for out of this new game, and it is a new battle style, a new battle format. With Pokemon Legends DA, the main series of Pokemon games is finally moving away from turn-based into real-time gameplay. So essentially what we see here is, number one, the battle arena is shaped here as a rectangle like it always is, but the trainer is standing inside the arena as opposed to outside of it, which is what they're supposed to do, and the Pokemon are not standing exactly opposite of each other. They're both in the same sector, which means free movement is a thing. We can move around freely in the arena. Now, whether you can control your Pokemon's movement or just the trainer's movement, I'm not sure. That hasn't really been specified yet, but you definitely can control the trainer's movement. But here we see on the right, we see the attacks. I'm not sure what these attacks are because they're in Japanese, but judging by the color, the right, that's obviously a normal attack. Up top is a steel. The right is a fighting move, and the bottom is a dragon attack. Um, And so we see here the enemy, I think that's a Spritzy, is attacking the Lucario with some move. Lucario uses another move, and here we see them both attacking each other. Spritzy's over there, Lucario's over here. The trainer obviously just standing there giving orders. And the thing to note here is that the attacks on this section of the UI here, which looks very clean, by the way. I really like the UI of this game. It looks really good. The selection of moves down here do not have any PP, which traditionally in Pokemon games, PP is basically mana. So if you've played any other RPG, you know how magic works, you know how mana works, where every time you cast a spell, the spell consumes mana. If you run out of mana, you can't use spells anymore. Well, Pokemon have a similar feature to that called PP, where every attack has power points. And if you use an attack, it consumes a power point, and when you run out of power points, you can't use that attack anymore until you heal. Well, that is now missing. These attacks don't have PP, or at least they're not displayed. And there's a different video clip. I'm kind of scared to play it because I don't want the Nintendo ninjas coming after me. But it shows that each of these moves are on a cooldown. So you use the attack, and then it goes on cooldown, and you have to wait for it to recharge so you can use the attack again. This is very cool and interesting because it is leading into the realm of more real-time battle. I wouldn't necessarily call it an action game because it doesn't really feel like that. It feels more like Xenoblade. If anyone has played Xenoblade Chronicles, that's what this feels like. Xenoblade Chronicles is not an action game, but it kind of feels like one. And that's the easiest comparison I can probably make, is it feels like Xenoblade Chronicles, where each attack is on a cooldown and you have to wait for them. I would assume maybe your Pokemon does auto attacks in between to just take up the space and do little bits of chip damage. I'm not sure. But yeah, this looks really cool. I'm very much excited for this because I think this is going to be a really cool battle system. Also, here we go. This is the same screenshot as before. But in here we also have, oh, this is in English, so you can actually see what it is. So over here on the side we have the Pokemon using an attack, use Stealth Rock, Talonflame use Flame Wheel. Also to note, they are battling on top of a freaking building. That's also a thing you can do in this game. You can climb up the buildings and glide between them. What is the extent of that going to be? How much traversal are we actually going to have? Can we get on top of any building we want? Or are there only certain areas we can ascend? I don't know yet. But yeah, and so we see the same thing again. We see the attacks of Heavy Slam, Stealth Rock, Amnesia, and I think that says Roar? Roar, I believe. But yeah, so just another shot of the UI, this time it's in English. Of course, with the new game, we're seeing a lot of confirmation of new Pokemon to be in. Not new as in new, but new meaning returning Pokemon. So obviously we have Hippowdon, then there's the Pidgey line, Slurpuff, Go-Goat, Flaffy, and Goomy. And here we see the 6 Pokemon are on the bar right here, with the exception of Hippowdon, who has this little symbol, which probably means return or attack. Because you can also freely return and call out your Pokemon whenever you want. You don't have to wait your turn anymore. So if you think a big attack is coming and you want to protect yourself, you can just return the Pokemon and take no damage, which is basically how the anime works. I don't know if the trainer is going to be able to take damage in this game, like how in Legends Arceus the trainer could get killed. I'm not sure if that'll work in this game. They haven't said that or not. But these are the new protagonists for the game. So this is your player character. Obviously this is the male and this is the female. Honestly, I like the design. I wasn't a huge fan of the designs of the Scarlet and Violet protagonists because they were basically children, and I'm not a child. But these designs actually look pretty good. I like them. They're very clean. They look a little bit more mature. It makes the characters look older. Maybe they're teenagers. Maybe they're not 10 years old. Maybe they're in their teens. Maybe 16, 17 years old. This also leads to the question of, are we going to have customization? Are we going to be able to customize the way the characters look by changing their clothes, which is a big feature in Scarlet and Violet and Legends Arceus. I think character customization is really fun because it just, why not? There's really no reason not to have it. They've kind of set it as something that's to be expected now ever since X and Y. The only reason why Oris didn't have character customization is because it was a remake, and they're not going to change a remake like that. And then finally, we have another big question about the lore of this game. Since AZ and his flow is with him, this means that the game must be post X and Y or in some weird alternate reality. I would see either way. See, this is AZ. AZ is a big character in the story of X and Y. It's been a long time since I've played X and Y, but he was pretty vital to the plot, as well as his Floette, which had a unique flower. Every Floette holds a flower that ranges in color from like blue to white to orange to yellow. But AZ's Floette was interesting in that it had a distinct black flower, and AZ's Floette was actually in X and Y, but for some reason they ended up removing it. But you can still find the data and the attacks in the game. I believe AZ's Floette had a signature attack called Light of Ruin, where it just shot this massive red laser. So he is in the game, and I'm curious to see what his involvement in the story will be and if we'll learn anything else about his past. And then, of course, we have the two I would assume this is supposed to be your rival in the game, depending on, we have two of them. I don't know if they're going to be two independent characters or if they're just the same character but gender swapped, which is kind of what Pokemon does. They just gender swap the characters. And I would assume that if you play as the male character, the female will be your rival, which is this girl. Her name is Tawny, which is funny because Tawny means town, or it sounds similar to town. And then this is the male character, and his name is Urbane, which is, similar to urban. So what I would assume is that if you choose the male protagonist, you get the female as your friend, and if you choose the female protagonist, you get the male as your friend. But yeah, this is a pretty big day for Legends ZA. I'm really looking forward to it. I think my favorite thing about what I've seen is the new battle system. I think the new battle system looks really cool and really fun. So yeah, all around, I'm pretty excited. If you made it this far, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.